Yo, what's up, guys? Good win tonight for the Toronto Raptors, guys. Winning 143-127 tonight against the Utah Jazz. Obviously, good bounce back win tonight for the Raptors, guys. Obviously, that putrid performance last night to the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, the Raptors getting their asses handed to them. Tonight was a game where the Raptors needed to bounce back, have a better game tonight, of course, playing the Utah Jazz. Have only won 21 games this season, but obviously there was some news before the game. We had Noah Emmanuel quickly, Jakob Poeltl not playing the second night of a back-to-back, obviously for injury management reason, and Brandon Ingram not playing as well due to a heel injury, guys, that we just found out right before tip-off. So we saw Mamu, we saw Jacoby, and we saw Jamal Shead starting in those guys' place for the game tonight. And Jamal Shead obviously has a career night tonight, guys. 15 assists tonight for Jamal Shead. Obviously Jamal Shead has been struggling shooting the basketball, but tonight he was really moving the basketball well. Mamu had a great game as well tonight, scoring 23 points, guys. And Mamu shot the ball incredibly well tonight, guys. Mamu shot the ball 9 of 14 from the field, guys. Made 3 3-pointers tonight, 23 points on 32 minutes. He was spectacular. And then Jacoby Bloody Walter, man, this kid here, the last 3 games, he is shooting the basketball from behind the arc incredibly well, man. Jacoby, 7 of 10 from the field tonight, guys. And then adding 6 of 8 from three-point land, adding 21 points, man, on 28 minutes of play. Great game for Jacoby Walter. And not only has he been great offensively, solid defensively as well for the Raptors, guys. So Jacoby has really improved shooting-wise. His mechanics look great. His follow-through looks fantastic. Staying in form all the way through the follow-through, guys. It's really impressive, the strides that Jacoby Walter has made this season, especially in the last 3 games with the shooting. He's clearly tweaked something in his shot, guys, because it just looks a lot more smoother right now than what I saw last year. So Jacoby is really improving as a player this season, guys, and he played really well tonight as well, even in the last few other games, shooting the basketball well. And this team needs to start getting him more involved in the offense, start feeding him the basketball more. I loved what he did with the ball tonight at times, especially with the one play where he faked the shot, drove the lane, collapsed the D, and then beautiful little pass to RJ Barrett in the third quarter there. And speaking of RJ, RJ was spectacular well in this game, guys, having 27 points. This game, 18 points coming in the third quarter. Raptors scoring 49 points in the third quarter. That's a season high for sure. I think it's a franchise record high for a quarter, points-wise, guys. So Raptors did a great job in this game today, guys. Taking advantage of the lead early. Scotty and Shed combined for 25 assists tonight, guys. So those two there were really moving the basketball well. Scotty had 16 at half with 8 assists. Jacoby had 10 points. I was about to say BI, but I remember he was injured, of course. And then you had Sandro with 15 at half. Barrett only had 9 at half. Jamal only had 2. Grady had 6 points on 11 minutes. Jameson Battle played 10 minutes. So there wasn't too many guys scoring too much other than Jacoby, Mamu, and Scotty, who those 3 guys there combined scored over 41 points for the Raptors in the half, guys. So those 3 there were really leading the Raptors offensively, guys. And then you have Utah's young players. Obviously Utah is rebuilding, missing a lot of guys. They had a lot of guys sitting out in this game today, guys. You had no Williams today. You had no Nurkic, no Keontae George, no Collier, no Jaren Jackson, no Kessler, no Lauri Markkanen. They are completely hampered with injuries. And obviously they're trying to tank. But the one guy that did play tonight was their lottery pick, Ace Bailey, who had an absolutely sensational night for the Utah Jazz. Ace Bailey finishes off the game with 37 points. 11 of 21 shooting. This kid here, he has got some really good offensive upside, of course. Now, obviously, he has to work on his defense, but this kid here offensively, he is a very talented young player. I liked what I saw from this kid. Really shoots the ball well, big and strong, can drive the lane. Only will get stronger when he gets more mature and gets into his grown man body, of course. But, man, he was shooting the ball lights out, especially in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter when the Raptors threw all their bench warmers in there and they just decided to stop playing defense and letting Utah go on a 16-0 run there to cut the deficit down to 12 at one point. That did piss me off a little bit, but the game was already over, guys, but still, that did annoy me a bit. But other than that, though, guys, Bailey was a one-man wrecking crew tonight for the Jazz. He was spectacular tonight for the Jazz. Sensabaugh was good as well tonight for the Jazz. He had 24 points tonight, I'm pretty sure. He was pretty solid. Yeah, he had 24 on 31 minutes, guys. But the Raptors at half, they were doing some really good things, guys. You had 62% shooting from the field, 44% from three, guys, 67% for the Raptors from free throw line. The only thing that did annoy me with the Raptors was letting Utah get to the line a lot. 26 free throws for the Jazz in the first half, shooting 85% from the free throw line. That was the only thing that annoyed me a little bit. The Raptors did a great job, guys, facilitating the basketball. 23 assists, guys, on 26 field goals made. That is spectacular. Great ball movement by the Raptors, sharing the basketball, not being selfish, playing as a team there in the first time. And I understand it's Utah, guys, but still, you needed a bounce-back performance tonight after that game against Phoenix last night. This was a great response from the Raptors, having 30 points in the paint as well at half. You had 12 fast break points, 10 points off turnovers, guys. The Raptors had 11 turnovers. Utah had 9 turnovers there, so Raptors doing a great job. 6 steals for the Raptors at half as well, guys. Utah was turning the ball over a lot. Didn't see anything when it came to the Raptors defense. It was like nobody was coming. It was like everyone was a ghost for Utah. It's like they didn't see a Raptors players coming to close the guy down, or blocking the passing lane. It was really surprising how badly Utah was turning over the basketball, guys. But then the third quarter, like I mentioned, 49 points in the third. RJ having 18, really leading the Raptors and scoring. Him and Jacoby were the best 2 players in that third quarter, if you ask me. They were really sharing the ball up between each other. Mamu got involved a lot, making some shots. CMB had some great blocks in this game as well. Glad to have CMB back as well, guys, after missing the last 11 games. So that was great to see as well. CMB getting back into the lineup. We really needed Colin Murray-Boyles back in the lineup, guys. He's so physical, great defender, can get offensive rebounds, make some easy shots there. So getting CMB back, just adds an extra piece for this Raptors team that they were clearly missing over the 11 games that he missed, guys. CMB was pretty solid tonight as well, guys. I liked how he played tonight, guys. He only had 9 points, though. So that's not horrible on 17 minutes, but he's obviously getting back into game shape and obviously trying to get a feel for the game again, guys. But this game was a blowout. At one point, the Raptors were up by 35. It was like watching a game at the YMCA. It was just a pickup game going back and forth in this game, guys. Raptors basically, finished off this game in the third quarter. Sat everybody majority of the fourth quarter, played your bench, guys. Like I mentioned, Utah going on that run there at the end did annoy me a little bit, but I felt the Raptors did a great job, getting this lead to as big as it got, and then finding a ways to stop Utah defensively. I thought the Raptors did a good job there as well, guys. Scottie finishes off with 20 and 10 and 7 rebounds, so good double-double for Scottie, almost a triple-double. Jacoby finishes off with 21 in 28 minutes. Sandro finishes off with 23 minutes on 32 minutes, guys. Mamu having 5 steals tonight, guys. He was supposed to have 6, but they said they took one away from him. I don't know why, but Mamu having 5 steals alone tonight, guys. Raptors having 11 in total. It was supposed to be 12, but like I said, they took one away from Mamu. So the Raptors did a great job there. You had Jamal with 7 points, but like I said, guys, 15 assists for Jamal Shed. He did have a bit of a bad stretch there, missing like 13 straight threes, but at the end of the day there, guys, Jamal Shed's job is obviously to facilitate the basketball, but we obviously want him to shoot the ball a little bit better with more efficiency, to make teams be a little bit more concerned about him when he's outside the arc there. Give something else for these teams to worry about, like Jacoby Walter, for instance. Of course, Jamal did make a 3-pointer at the end there with the shot clock going down, had to throw the shot up there, and he ends up banking it off the backboard there, guys, to cut his streak there. So really good job for Jamal Shed to get over the hump there, finally make a 3-pointer, because we need this guy to be scoring some shots, honestly. But, really good job by Jamal to move the basketball, only on 2 turnovers as well, guys. So Jamal really took care of the basketball tonight, coming in for Quickly, who had plantar fasciitis, guys. RJ finishes off with 27, 10 to 15. Grady Dick finishes off with 13, 6 to 12 shooting. Grady annoyed me on one player on the 3-on-1 fast break going for the layup. I know he needs the points and the confidence, but you got to pass the basketball there, Grady. Let's be honest there, but decent game by him. Jamison Battle, 17 points, 22 minutes, 6 of 9 shooting. I like Jamison Battle, man. He's a good shooter. Obviously lacks a little bit of defense, of course, defensive awareness too at times, but really good shooter, if you guys ask me. CMB quiet game, like I said, 9 points on 17 minutes. And then Markelle Fultz. How about this guy here? Finally getting back into the NBA after almost a year, Good to see him get 15 minutes of play. Would have liked to see him get a little bit more. Had 2 points, 5 assists. He'll only get better signing a 10-day contract with the Raptors, playing with the Raptors 9-5 the last couple weeks, guys. So, listen, if you can add a guy like Fultz, a former first overall pick, who can facilitate the basketball, can score some points here and there, he will be a good added piece for the Raptors, guys. I do not hate the signing of Markelle Fultz. He's got the 10-day contract. Let's see how they do against the Clippers in a couple days. Of course, hopefully he gets more minutes there. And it's funny, the Raptors have former first overall pick in Fultz. Brandon Ingram's a former second overall pick. RJ Barrett's a former third overall pick, and Scotty's a former fourth overall pick. So you got 4 players that are in the top 4, guys. That's pretty rare to see, especially with the Raptors. Of course, that's the only way they're going to be getting that is if they get them from other teams, because we all know when the Raptors draft high, either they benefit or they get lucky with that, or sometimes it ends up being a bust. Don't remind me about Andrea Bargnani, and I'm bloody Italian, for God's sakes. One of the worst lottery picks in NBA history, if you guys ask me. So, listen, we've gotten lucky on a few draft picks, of course, with Scotty, obviously, and obviously like Chris Bosh, and then we obviously have some nightmares like Rafael Arujo, for God's sakes. Remember that guy there? My God. Just to go down memory lane there for a second there, guys. But, to not have BI tonight, not having Quickly tonight, no Yak, so you're missing some starters. Raptors did a great job tonight shutting down the Jazz. The Jazz are not great defensively. Such a young team, still learning. Obviously they got some great young pieces coming up for next season. The Utah Jazz, obviously with the top pick coming up as well in the draft. The Jazz are going in the right direction. I love Jackson. Love Jaren Jackson. This guy here's a great player, can play defense, can score the basketball. Really solid player. That was a really great trade for the Jazz. Then you got Bailey and George and marketing guys, Kessler. They got some really nice pieces, the Utah Jazz. They're going to have a very bright future. They got great ownership in Ryan Smith, obviously buying the Utah mammoth there. Utah is going to be a good team in the future, guys. I really think they will be. They got some great young pieces to build around, guys. But Raptors did a great job tonight, guys. Finding a way to win this game tonight, guys. Shooting over 60% from the field tonight, guys. Great job at that. 54% from three-point line. 54% from free throws. That annoys me. Want to see better than that. Utah shot 84% from the free throw line, guys. They shot 47% and 36% from three. Wasn't great shooting for the Jazz. They out-rebounded the Raptors by 351-48. Not a big deal. Raptors, 49 assists on 54 made field goals, guys. Great job by the Raptors. Moving the basketball, sharing the rock. You can't ask for anything more from the Raptors tonight, guys. It was a great game by them. And 12 steals. Man, the Raptors did a great job defending and cutting up the passing lanes tonight, guys. Great job by them. And then you had 60 points in the paint to compare to Utah's 46, guys. 25 fast break points. Utah had the same amount of fast break points. Raptors had 25 points off turnovers. Jazz had 24, guys. 10 blocks as well for the Raptors, guys. And then you had 17 turnovers. Also want to limit that a little bit, guys. But listen, great win tonight for the Raptors, guys. Getting back in the win column, you had Miami losing tonight, Philadelphia losing tonight, guys. Orlando losing tonight. You had Pascal Siakam having a massive game, doing a big favor for his former team in the Raptors, guys. Thank the Spurs for beating Miami. Thank the Thunder for beating Philly. The only team that won tonight was the Atlanta Hawks. They are on absolute fire right now. 13 of 14 wins, guys, for the Hawks, guys. They are playing some great ball right now. They continue to win games. The Raptors have to continue to win games as well because they are a half game out, the Hawks, from being in 5th place. Raptors have to find a way to beat the Clippers. We got a day with our former, obviously, NBA champion, that jackass, number 2, of course. I hope the Raptors beat the schnot out of the LA Clippers, guys. Anytime the Raptors play the Clippers, it's personal for me, if you ask me. To watch a man leave an NBA champion, I will never, ever forgive that human being for leaving the Toronto Raptors after lifting a bloody banner for the first time in their franchise's history just because he wanted to go home. I don't give a shit. I am grateful that he played his heart out for the year, helped his team win a title, but let's be honest here, guys. He played his heart out because he wanted to demand where he wanted to go, and that was to go play for the Los Angeles Clippers, guys. So if you ask me, don't ever tell me, oh, you should be grateful Kawhi won a title for you. No. I am very bitter that my team and my city couldn't have a dynasty because one player wanted to go home instead of looking at the bigger picture, and that was winning. And unfortunately, he chose to go home, ruin this franchise's possibility of a dynasty. And then, well, obviously, you know what happened. Went to Tampa because of the pandemic, and then we drafted Scotty Barnes 4th overall to restart the rebuild of the Raptors franchise, guys. We got a long way to go to get back to winning a title, guys. Great win tonight for the Raptors. We'll see how they do against the Clippers. Hopefully they win that game there, guys. Great response tonight. Defeating the Utah Jazz tonight. Had to win this game tonight. Get back in the win column after that disastrous loss to the Phoenix Suns last night, guys. We'll see how they do against the Clippers. Continue to get wins because the Hawks are right there. Continue to cement that 5th place spot, to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, it will not be easy, of course, but avoid getting in a play-in because I do not want to play a team like Charlotte or Philly. Obviously, guys, one of those games will be extremely, extremely difficult and a one-off. Do not want to see the Raptors in that type of game with the amount of pressure that game would hold, especially where the Raptors have been in the standings all season, guys. But solid win tonight for the Raptors without 3 starters tonight, guys. We'll see how they do next game, guys. We'll love your thoughts and opinions on this one, guys. So like this video. Subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Raptors, go as always, guys. See you guys on the next episode of Raptors Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.